Alright guys, welcome back for another video, continuing on with our media unit. Some of the handouts you have just have some definitions on them and take you through some of the features of an ad. So I'm not going to spend too much time on this. I want to get to the example ads, but these features of the ads is what you'll use to kind of dissect and analyze the sample ads. So when you're practicing at home, we'll come to 6 example ads. You want to be able to identify these features. Okay, so when you're sort of doing your decoding of the meaning of the ad, you want to identify these 5 main features of any particular ad. So first of all, what's its purpose? Okay, now notice the purpose says the message, the subject, and the effect. So 3 things: message, subject, and effect. A common mistake that is made by students regularly is they just say purpose is to make money. And they go straight to this idea of profit. Well, of course it's advertising, so yes, they're going to want to make money. They're not doing this out of the goodness of their hearts, okay? But that would connect to the effect, right? Because this is about the result of what people will do. But notice purpose is also the message and the subject. So they want to convince us, the audience, of an idea. Right? It all comes down to, do we believe what they're saying about the product or about the constructed reality that they've created in the ad? Because if we accept this idea, okay, if that idea goes into our minds and then we say, yep, that's what I believe, well then we're going to make decisions based on that. And we're going to go to the store, you know, and we're going to buy Nike shoes or whatever. All right? So they want to lead us to action and a decision. But purpose is also the message. So to convince us of whatever, idea X, resulting in action on the part of the audience, and then they'll go and spend money on that product or support that brand. So first of all, identify what is the purpose of the ad. Okay, be aware of what is the medium. Okay, this is the way, or another word I used before is the mode. That the message here reaches the audience and where the ad is found. So is it radio? Is it internet? Is it TV, etc.? Okay, so be aware of the medium. Who do they target? Who's their target audience? Okay, who are they aiming at to influence? Who do they intend to influence? Another word we can use for this is, what's the demographic? Okay, what's the target demographic? So it could be based on age. That's common. It could be gender specific. It could be maybe cultural. It could be maybe a niche market. Like perhaps it's something like sports, right? And you go sports, okay, maybe it's tennis. I like tennis, so I'm going to choose tennis. Maybe it's hockey. Maybe the niche market is gamers. And maybe they particularly want to target, let's say, first-person shooter gamers. Or whatever. Maybe it's RPGs. I'm not really a gamer anymore, so you get the idea. What's the target group, target audience? Okay. Then you want to think about what techniques did they use? Okay. These are the codes and conventions of the specific methods, the specific ways that they use to achieve the purpose, right? They want to get to their purpose, and then they're going to use different techniques and methods, different codes and conventions. Maybe it's going to be symbol is their main one. Maybe it's going to be color. Maybe it's a line or font, okay? And in this document, the features document, you have down below a detailed list of all of these codes and conventions. Now, you want to pick out of those codes and conventions, whatever they use, what's the dominant feature? Maybe symbol is the most important one in the ad. Okay? So think about what is the dominant one. And when you find the dominant one, don't just be like, okay, yep, the dominant one is a symbol. Now ask why. Why did they choose that? Because remember, in the literacy component for media literacy, it involves interpretation, and analysis. So you're analyzing it so that you'll be a better reader of media, so that you'll be a more wise consumer. And so you won't be brainwashed and influenced by disarming media that is potentially, dangerous depending on the messaging. Okay. Finally, what's the impact? Okay. The impact is the effect the advertisement has on the audience and its effectiveness. So the effect and the effectiveness. So the effect, we notice here, sometimes going to be just spending money. But let's go beyond that. Okay, you want the effect to be more along the lines of thinking about, okay, seeing maybe the company as, let's say, maybe they're supporting some traditional values. Maybe it's seeing the company as having integrity. Or maybe it's being cutting edge. Whatever they want you to think about their company, right? Like Nike for sports is often about greatness. Okay, so think about the effect more than just making money, but what have they caused us to believe, and how effective is the delivery using, all this stuff together. Okay, so those are the 5 main features to look for when studying advertising and media. So you want to keep those 5 things in mind: purpose, medium, target audience, impact, and techniques as you practice on the practice examples. And here below you have further definitions to give you detail in addition to my explanation as to what these features are. Okay, I'm not going to go through them again because I just expounded that for you. So this is your guide. Now the techniques I will get into a little bit in more detail to explain some of these. So think about what is the dominant feature. We mentioned this before, and why did they choose that? Ask the why question, okay? So maybe it's an image that stands out from the rest of the ad. Think about whatever attracts our attention the most. Okay, it could be graphical, it could be word-based, right? So, is it the logo? Is it a dominant color? We saw with the Marlboro cigarettes ad. Yeah, color was important. They chose this red and white dual tone, and red was the dominant one. So that was clearly the dominant feature of the ad. That the text wasn't, wasn't really the text, wasn't really the logo. It was overall, the whole thing was really red. Then you want to think about the language features. So language features is obviously going to have to do with text, right? So whatever words are on the ad, you gotta read them and think about them. There's no wasted space if there's any words there. Okay, the message should be clear and the words should stand out. Language should be concise, brief, and relevant, and the information in the ad must not look crowded or cramped. Because they have a small amount of space, every word counts. Okay, so text is going to be very important because of that. So they like to use language in different ways, the advertisers. Maybe they have a clever use of words. They use maybe specialty vocabulary. Maybe they invent a word or repeat. Maybe it's very emotional. Slang, slogans, catchphrases, all of that. Do they mess around with grammar at all? Even pay attention to punctuation. Sometimes that's a key point. What's the tone? Are they very formal? Is it personal, poetic? Is there a warning? Is it romantic, threatening, cheerful? So tone is the emotional disposition of the speaker. Quote unquote speaker. In this case, the advertiser. All right, so don't mix up tone and mood. Those are separate. Mood is how we feel. How do they use comedy or humor? And is there any human interest? Maybe they use stories. Maybe they use drama, etc. Okay. Now here you have a list of features, all different features, okay, for the visual features. So could be anything: pictures, shapes, symbols, images, even white space, empty space is also an important part of the design. So think about the depth in the ad. Think about, the overall layout, colors, contrast. Contrast means, difference in light and dark color. Maybe they have, really bold lines. White space could be important. How about the proportion, the sizes of stuff? Maybe they make something, person really big, and then make, the house really small. And maybe they're advertising, insurance for your house, and this guy is maybe a crazy monster, like a Godzilla is gonna step on the house. Well, that's proportion, right? Is there any movement? The kind of lettering and font that they choose? Are there any symbols? Is there any stereotyping, allusions, or caricatures? There's like images, logos. All of those things together are the visual features. In the next video, we'll look at deconstructing an ad.